Hey APT, my name is Jennifer Vosters. If you came to APT last summer and saw She Stoops to Conquer, you saw me as one of the bumpkins in Tony Lumpkin and the Bumpkins. I was the tallest bumpkin, which incidentally is the title of my upcoming memoir. In this time of quarantine, a lot of us are pondering life questions that we never really had time to think about before. So I wanted to play, hopefully, a small but vital part of your process of that by helping to answer one of life's really big, really important questions. How do you tell the difference between a violin and a viola? Or is it a violin and a viola? I've spent most of my life as a violist, and it is my pleasure to tell people the difference whenever they ask, because sometimes, yeah, I admit it's hard to tell. But lucky for all of us, there are a few tried and true ways to determine which instrument you're seeing that attractive musician over there playing. Are you ready? Let's go. So without a doubt, the most fail-safe way to make a guess as to if what you're looking at is a violin or viola has to do with size. Yeah, when you're looking at the two side by side, it's pretty easy to tell that there is a difference, right? The viola is the bigger of the two instruments. This is a full-size viola and a full-size violin, and they are noticeably different in size. You can also tell from the side, violas are typically a bit thicker. You can see with this viola in my hand, I'm reaching out and I can just cup the edge of the scroll, this part here. It's a big chunk of instrument. And with a violin, I'm reaching out, comes shy of my wrist, just a little bit more modest size, especially when it comes to having something shoved under your chin. It's also a little bit lighter, and the bow is as well. Now we're gonna look at the strings. There are 4 strings on both a violin and a viola, and they actually share 3 of the exact same strings. But the easy, quick way to think of the difference is that violins have 1 higher string and violas have 1 lower string. Violins cannot go lower than a G. Violas can go all the way down to C, which gives them that sort of rich, dark tone that they're known for. So if you're watching someone play and they're hitting some really low, kind of earthy, gritty notes like this, that is definitely a viola. And if you're watching someone hit some really high, sort of virtuosic notes that are clear, that are loud, that are bright, violas can hit those notes, but typically they're given to violins. Next, we're going to talk about the third way, the sneaky way you can find out if what you're looking at is a violin or a viola, and that is the bow. There is a small detail that doesn't have any functional value, at least none that I'm aware of, and that is the frog. Yes, these little black box-like things that the horsehair is coming out of that have the kind of mother-of-pearl dot on them, those are called the frog. I don't know why, but I have some pretty great theories. You'll notice that one has almost a 90-degree angle, and it's sharp, pointed, pretty straight. The other is curved, more rounded. This is because it is a scientific fact that violists are more well-rounded than violinists. That's not true, obviously. Violin, viola. So the fourth is a little tricky because it involves having to take a look at their sheet music if they've got any. If you have the opportunity to sneak a little glance at what they're playing, the clef is a great way to tell. Violins, along with a great majority of, well, a great number of instruments in the symphony, uses the tried and true treble clef. Friendly looking, swan-like, approachable, even familial. But what if I told you that violas use a different clef? And before you think of it, it's not a bass clef, that sort of cute little reverse C thing with the dots. It is, in fact, a clef all its own, called the alto clef. It's a little funky because violas are one of the only instruments in the entire world to use it. Another one that uses it is an alto trombone and a mandola, which is a mandolin except it's strung like a viola. Violists tend to get very, very, very fond of the alto clef. So if you see this funky looking thing on someone's sheet music or on their earrings or a pin or a watch or a shirt, you are almost a ringer for seeing a violist. And finally, the fifth, the most nuanced and the most tried and true way to tell if what you're seeing is a violin or a viola is to simply listen to the type of music they're playing. It brings me great pain to acknowledge that violins tend to have more to do in an orchestral or small ensemble setting. If you're seeing an instrument do something like this, that's probably a violin. If you're seeing an instrument do something like this, it's probably the long-suffering viola. But every now and then we get some really, really killer moments to shine, such as but all that being said, violins and violas need each other and they're better for each other, and I am certainly a better player and I think person because of both of them. So now you know how to begin to unpack one of the great scientific, cultural, ethical, historical, ecclesiastical questions of our time. I really hope I can see you back in the woods very soon. And in the meantime, keep vibrating.